So here's the kicker. I'm just watching more about Steiner and what he had to say about Buddha. Buddha, having been an entity of soul that split off at the time, before the time of Atlantis, I believe. He goes through all these, we all go through these different planets when we evolve, right? And we gather certain experiences. So in the period of what was it called before Atlantis, Lemuria, the earth wasn't the same, right? Things were really different and conditions were different anyway. So you have this Buddha person who is a soul that went to Venus and basically stepped ahead of our development. This is where we're going. We're going towards the next sort of evolutionary stage, which will eventually move to a different planet in the solar system. So anyway, he was on Venus. He came back here and voluntarily incarnated, even though he didn't have to, because he had developed a certain spiritual state, right? But in order, and you know, you had this with monks. They didn't incarnate fully into the human form. They were there teaching people, right? And when they had finished their incarnation, they would go into a meditative state and basically go have an out-of-body experience, and then just simply not come back to their body, right? Because they weren't actually their spirit wasn't fully here, present. And they're also forming this connection between the spiritual world and the human world, right? It made me think of Nathalie Sudman's experience, who, when she was meeting all these thousands of souls that would all sort of hang on her lips, and they wanted to know about how humans develop our culture and stuff, which maybe ties back to the fact that as of 1900 we've been sort of, the gods no longer involve themselves, right? The higher souls or whatever. So we're left on to our own devices. We are supposed to bring forth this this Buddha person, this Christ person. It's now up to us. We're 21. They're gone like, here, there's your stuff. Now you sort it out here. It's your environment, your habitat, right? The way I'm reading this now. And Buddha himself had to go and incarnate fully, which he did under the Bodhisattva tree, i.e., in order to get to his highest spiritual self, he had to go through the physical incarnation fully and go through the process of death as a human being to connect this the stage of your or your internal, right? Steiner has this all split up into different layers, right? The physical body, the life body, the feeling body. I'm just making this, I can't translate this now, Empfindungsleib. It's hard. So in order to become the Buddha, he had to develop his empathy. He had to be like a human being, suffer what we suffer. He had to go through this stage of suffering to develop his highest form. And we are all meant to follow this process. What it made me think of as well is somewhere here he says hang on. So I shared this with somebody because I thought this was interesting, this program I'm watching, because it also mentioned these different planetary places that these souls develop, because I had a couple of friends who insisted that they before they incarnated, they saw themselves going via Saturn, right, via the planetary bodies. They came from Saturn. They were insistent. And this makes perfect sense. I've shared this with a friend. This makes perfect sense, especially the bit about Buddha having to do something first to break the sound barrier, so to speak. The same can be observed with everything today too. So when the first runner ran 100-meter distance under a certain amount of time, something people had thought was impossible, afterwards more and more people can run faster. It's all in the mind and the belief in what is possible. So yeah, we're just basically following the footsteps of these spiritual leaders, if you want, these Buddhis and Bodhisattvas. And the Bodhisattvas are the ones that haven't fully come down and incarnated, and they don't go through death. And these are basically people who are connected to the highest forms of the spiritual realms, and are present there and here at the same time.